guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past few days. We do have some very key topics to discuss. Firstly, Barcelona's transfer plan and strategy for the next two transfer windows in January and the summer has been leaked. Barcelona targeting 3 positions mainly to strengthen. I'll give you guys those updates. Now, on the topic, of course, of signing players, Barcelona owe around 140 million euros for 9 different players' transfer fees over the past few years. Of that 140 million, I believe 40 of it is in the short term, then 100 million is in the long term. We're going to discuss it, break down how much Barcelona owe for what players, and this will of course be very important when it comes to selling on these players maybe in the future due to, of course, amortization. Very normal process, but we will talk about that. We have some big injury boosts coming up, of course, in regards to Szczesny, Olmo, Gavi, Fermin, and our first real and positive update around the return of Ronald Araujo. And finally, we do have an update around Luis Enrique, who is moving a bit mad in this movie star documentary he's doing with PSG. He sent some shots at Xavi and also discussed how Laporta called him to become the Barcelona manager. We'll give you guys the details around that situation. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try to get the 200 likes in this video. Be very much appreciated. And also, if you're new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, before we get into this video is sponsored by Number One Foot. Number One Foot is by far the best replica jersey website on the market, and it's not even close. They have a variety of different items at the absolute best prices. They sent me 2 kits recently. First one is the retro Barcelona kit, the home kit, which I'm currently wearing right now, and also as well the second kit for that season in the blue edition. Oh my god, like, the stitching is fantastic, the quality is, superb. Feels like I have the actual, original kit for a fraction of the price. And if you use the discount code BOY at checkout, you do get 10% off your order. That's BOY. Use it at checkout, and all orders above $80 as well will receive free shipping. So what are you waiting for? Hit the top link in the description down below and get your new football kits today. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past few days. The first topic we're going to discuss in regards to transfers, of course, is Barcelona's actual strategy heading into the next few transfer windows, i.e. January and the summer of 2025. Now, Tony Juan Martí from Sport has come out saying that Sporting Director Deco is already starting to plan for next season. He's met in secret with agents of players on Barcelona's agenda. Renewals, departures, and signings right now are all on the table. Barcelona do not rule out signing a left back next summer. If they have the money, they would like to go for a different profile in that position. It depends on the club's financial situation. And Barcelona's transfer targets next summer are a big signing in the attack, a goalkeeper, and a wing back. Hansi Flick thinks Barcelona need to sign a top winger, but most importantly, a right back. So a couple of things here to digest. One, Deco's already planning for next season, as you should. I wouldn't say fully planning for the summer. I think right now he should be focusing on renewals. And then again, Araujo, Christensen, Frankie, Pedri, Gavi, Fermin officially all need renewals ASAP. Now, in regards to the strategy, a big signing in the attack, a goalkeeper, and wing backs. Of course, by wing backs, they mean fullbacks. Could not agree more. Finally seeing some sort of perfection in regards to planning for the summer. I think Barcelona in the midfield and in the center back department are absolutely, utterly pure perfect. No one has to come in, no one has to come out. Of course, if someone wants to leave and then you see a market opportunity, that's a different perspective. But if you can keep what we have now in the midfield and the defense for going into the next season, I would have no problem with that whatsoever. We need fullbacks, in my opinion, mainly left back. Now, Hansi Flick bringing up a right back is very interesting. Does he not really trust Jules Koundé and Hector Fort? Does he think that we can have an upgrade on Jules Koundé and Hector Fort? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't really trust Hector Fort. Maybe he sees Koundé more of a center back. I think there's going to be players shifted and moved if a right back is signed. But for me personally, like it says there at the top in regards to sporting profiles, left back is the main concern, because Alejandro Balde has no good coverage and no strong competition. He goes down with an injury or dips in form, we are beyond screwed, because Gerard Martin has the ability of a freaking 5-year-old. That is a reality. Of course, goalkeeper, clear. Ter Stegen is washed and he's injured. It's time to move on for him. Big sign in the attack, I think honestly could be anything. I think mainly either a left winger or a striker. I don't think it'll be a right winger. You have Lamine Yamal, you have Ferran Torres, you have Rafinha. Left hand side, you have Ansu Ferran. So there's the question marks can't come in. Of course, your Pedris, Olmos, Fermins can't play there, but it's not their ideal position. Striker, you have Lewandowski getting on, but of course he's still performing now. You have Pau Victor, you have Victor Roque coming back from loan. So this for me is perfect. Sign someone big in the attack, whether you need a left winger or striker, one of those two, goalkeeper, and get some fullbacks in. I think this is the perfect strategy going forward, but I think the main focus right now should be renewals. Now, speaking on signing players, Barcelona have only been linked with one player over the past few days, and that is Jonathan Tah. Now, Plettigol, of course, Sky Germany has come out saying that Jonathan Tah is planning to leave Bayern Leverkusen on a free deal next summer. Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and Premier League clubs are in the race to sign him. There have also been reports from other German outlets. I think Bild came out with Christian Folk saying that Real Madrid have also entered the race now, so we'll wait and see. Like I just mentioned, if someone leaves, maybe Araujo, Christensen, and Inigo leaves and we bring in Tah for free, that's whatever, but I'm very, very happy with what we have right now. Your Araujo, your Christensen, your Koundés, your Kubarsis, your Inigo, even the ones coming through the academy, Dominguez, Cuenca, very, very happy with those. I think there's no reason to really go out there and get an upgrade unless a good market opportunity comes about, or if one of them decides they want to leave. And if they do, is Tah a good option of free transfer? Sure, yeah, 2-3 year deal. It's like very similar, structure to what happened with Inigo over his 2 years so far at Barcelona. So no real issue here, but again, there is going to be strong competition for him. But I don't think Barcelona will bend over backwards for him too much unless they know for a fact a player is leaving in the defensive line. Now, in regards to signings, of course, registration will also be a key factor for that, and will make the determination whether or not Barcelona can have full freedom in the transfer market. Now, of course, last summer we made 2 signings in Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. There's always question about the registration. Is it permanent? Is it temporarily until December? Whatever the case may be. But we now know for sure that Dani Olmo and Pau Victor are registered for Barcelona for the entire season. Gabriel Sanz of Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Barcelona will be able to register Pau Victor and Dani Olmo without any problems in January. The two of them have only been registered right now until the end of the year, but of course with Ter Stegen's long-term injury, they're going to end up unregistering him and using that space to register Olmo and Pau Victor. Pau Victor's salary is very, very low. I'm pretty sure Olmo does earn quite a bit, but again, it should not be an issue whatsoever, especially with the hopes and the likelihood that Barcelona should be back in the 1-1 rule come January, with that Nike deal hopefully being finalized this month, which again could happen at any given point. So again, no real worries about them. If we make a January signing, that's where maybe things can get quite interesting, depending on how much space Barcelona have, depending on how our FFP structure looks like, especially of course if we're in the 1-1 rule or not. Do we need a January signing? I would say right now probably not, unless we have a massive injury issue. If you can find a cheeky little left back, sure, why not? But apart from that, I don't think there's going to be any real movements in January for Barcelona. But for now, of course, the 2 summer signings should have registration, no registration issues, should I say, for the rest of this season. Let's now discuss some of the injuries and fitness updates around the first team at Barcelona. We have an update on basically all the players that are currently out injured and also that are unfit. Firstly, on Gavi coming in from Candacer, they've come out saying that Gavi seems to have come back stronger than ever. During the other day's training session, he completed 40 minutes of practice matches, playing in the midfield alongside Frankie de Jong, and kept at a good place. The player has set his sights on the match against Sevilla after the international break, but it's ultimately up to the coaching staff and the medical team to decide when he can play again. So he's regularly participating, of course, in first team training sessions. He's now played, a game as well. Apparently, the other day, Barca Athletic and the Barcelona first team trained together. They kind of divided into equal parts and had like a training match as well. So he ended up playing about 40 minutes in that game, and again, all went well for him. Now, another update we do have is on Wojciech Szczesny. Mundo Deportivo, Rojdelero has come out saying that Hansi Flick's plan is for Wojciech Szczesny to use the 2 weeks during the international break to get into top shape so he can be ready for the match against Sevilla. There are some murmurs suggesting that Szczesny could start that game. Don't toy my emotions, please, and we'll wait and see how things turn out as we get closer to that date. Right now, we're about a week away, so it's quite difficult to see. And finally, it was Roja Marca came out saying that Hansi Flick will be able to count on Gavi, Olmo, and Fermin Lopez, and also the newcomer Szczesny after the international break. All 4 players expected to be fully fit and ready to go post international break. Of course, that is fantastic news. I don't think any of them will start the game against Sevilla, of course, apart from potentially, maybe, hopefully praying for Szczesny, but I think the other 3, the Spanish lads, I don't think they'll play that game. They won't start that game. They might come off the bench. I think they're all probably eyeing a start against Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. I'm looking mainly at Dani Olmo. I think Firmino will probably be utilized as a player off the bench. I don't think Gavi will touch any of those 3 games. He might play a little bit against Sevilla, get the morale going, but I honestly don't think he'll touch the field against Bayern or Madrid. He could be in the squad list, be there for vibes. Apparently he's a leader, so just get him in there and around the crowd, but I doubt he'll play whatsoever. But having them back after the break, full medical green light, is of course a massive boost. Another injury update that we do have is on Ronald Araujo. The first update we do have post his surgery that took place, of course, what was it? End of July, somewhere around there. Now, Russia data from Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Araujo is approaching the final stage of his recovery. He's getting closer to returning to on-field training each day. The goal is for Araujo is to make his comeback in about another month and a half. Although the coaching staff and medical team are cautious and don't want to rush the return, the plan for Araujo is to be ready after the next international break in November, which of course runs from the 11th to the 19th. If his recovery continues to progress and without any setbacks, he could return to action on the 23rd of November against Celta Vigo, or 3 days after that in the Champions League against Brest. So he's on track right now and should be fit post-November international break, which is of course a positive thing. I thought Idaho would come back maybe end of December, beginning of January, so he's coming back about a month earlier than we expected. Again, there's no rush for Idaho. We're not desperate for him, so to speak. Of course, we'd like him to return, but our center backs are currently doing well. If you have another injury, you could shift Koundé in the middle and have Hector Fort there. You have Christensen making his return very soon as well. No update on Christensen for quite some time now, as well as hopefully we do get one very soon on him. But having Idaho back will be massive. From now, we only have, I think, 6 games from October international break to the November international break. I think last time from September to October we had 7 games, so 6 more games left for the return of the Uruguayan, which of course would be a big boost for Barcelona. He will be the captain of this team for the rest of the season, especially with Ter Stegen being out. He is the number 2 captain, so every single game he'll lead the team out. Win any trophy, win the Super Cup, he'll lift it. The Copa del Rey, Champions League, La Liga, he'll be the one lifting the trophy. So having his return, of course, will be important. So we'll wait and see, take his time, make that full recovery, and hopefully bring a bolstering addition to Barcelona's defense. Let's now discuss some of the news surrounding Barcelona over the past few days. First, we do have an update on Unai Hernandez, who is impressing a lot in training. Like I just mentioned, 2 days ago, the Barcelona Athletic and Barcelona first team had a training session together. They split up into, even teams to have a match. And in that match, Unai Hernandez scored a hat-trick. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is, firstly, Iñaki Peña was definitely in goal. I have no doubts about that. But secondly, Unai Hernandez could be making a push for that left wing spot. Of course, Ferran Torres, he's going to be out until the next international break, probably returning at the same time as Araujo, I would suspect. So on the left wing, naturally, the only player we have right now is Ansu Fati. Unai Hernandez could knock on the door. Remember, Hansi Flick did start him in the Clásico in preseason, so he does have faith in the player, does trust his ability. If you're looking for a more natural option there, of course, you can chuck Pedri there, Fermin when he comes back, Dani Olmo when he comes back, Rafinha, of course, will probably be there with either Fermin or Olmo in the 10, but option off the bench, one more injury, and he's very close to the first team. So I would keep your eyes out on Unai Hernandez. He's impressing a lot in training. Hansi Flick rates the player, and he could be an option for Barcelona's left-hand side. Now, on the topic of Barca Athletic, we do have some updates on 2 of their new signings during the summer, of course, in David Oduro and also Abdul Aziz Issah, who both have not played yet. They have been training with the first team and also the B team as well, but they cannot play due to work permit and visa issues still arriving from, of course, I believe they're both from Ghana, if I'm not mistaken. But Sport have come out saying the debut of the 2 Ghanaian players, yes, I was right, in David Oduro and also Abdul Aziz Issah is getting closer. Both players recently traveled to their home country to expedite the documents and obtain their work permits as soon as possible. So from September-ish when they were signed until now, middle of October. They did now taking about a month and a half, 2 months to get their work permits and visas. So hopefully post international break, they should be involved with Barca Athletic. Barca Athletic had to postpone their game the other day against Real Sociedad B because they had no players. A lot of players on international duty with the first team, don't have any visas, so we had to postpone that game. So having players coming back, of course, will be important. And Barcelona sees talents in these two players. Again, they've already trained with the first team on a few occasions, which shows their level of quality and trust that the club does have in them. So have them playing for Barca Athletic, of course, will be huge in their development. So wait and see. David Oduro could be our answer at left back. We're complaining. Gerard Martin is shite. Ball needs some competition. His idol, David Oduro, he said on multiple interviews, is ballless. So he could be that coverage competition that we're looking for, and of course save some money as well than going into the market and finding someone. So wait and see on the Ghanaian duo, as hopefully they will be able to play for Barca Athletic soon. Very quick update on the Espai Barca project. Of course, Barca's return to the Spotify Camp Nou. Will it be this year or not? That is right now the big question. Most likely it will not. Antonio Escudero, who is the vice president, I believe, of the social area of Barcelona, he was doing an interview with Catalonia Radio, and he said that I think Barcelona will get to the new Spotify Camp Nou around March 2025. Going there before the end of the year will not be viable. So again, a return this year is looking more and more unlikely. We are looking at the new year now for sure. He's saying March. I've been saying very consistently for the past few months. I think end of January, beginning of February. I think, but that's when Barcelona will be marking their return. We will be there 100 billion% before the Clasico, the second Clasico, which I believe will take place in March, but also, of course, more importantly, before the round of 16 of the Champions League. Hopefully, if we do qualify for that, which I believe will be taking place around middle to end of February. So by then, we have to be back in the Camp Nou 1 billion%. Again, 62,000 capacity confirmed. Season tickets have already been put on sale as well for the socials. We will 1 billion% be returning to the Camp Nou at some point this year. The big question now is when exactly. Now we have some big updates around the Barcelona dressing room and how the atmosphere is, of course, during the first almost 2 months of the season, and how positive it has been since, of course, the departure of Xavi and the incorporation of Hansi Flick. Tony Juan Martí came out saying the Barcelona dressing room has shifted a lot recently. With the old core of veterans leaving, the dressing room is now mostly led by the youngsters. The youngsters are the core social group in the Barcelona dressing room. They're all close in age and have similar experiences personally, professionally, and that allows them to mingle well together. There are two figures very close to the group of youngsters, and that is Rafinha and Ferran freaking Torres. Both spent a lot of time with them, trying to advise them, but above all supporting them and listening to them. Both other players are respectful figures in the dressing room because of the level of attitude they always give their all on and off the field. I'm just going to pause right there real quick. We are not seeing the end of Ferran Torres. This man is definitely not leaving Barcelona unless he wants to leave himself. He's that big in the dressing room that the youngsters, your Gavis, your Lamines, your Kubarsis, your Baldes, your Fords are looking up to Ferran Torres, and he's dropping stinkers week in, week out. I mean, I don't know. Now, Tony Juan Martí also mentions that last season, Lamine Yamal and Lewandowski had some differences. Whoa, like we didn't see that coming when they avoided to dap up each other in that game. What game was that? Was that Osasuna at home? 1-0 when Victor Roque scored? I think it was that game when Lamine Yamal went to go high-five Lewandowski, and Lewandowski didn't high-five him because he was kind of pissed that he didn't put a cross in or something like that. So, not surprising there. But however, now everything has changed, and now they're closer than ever. Oh, wow. Whoop-de freaking do. And finally, the relationship between İlkay Gündoğan and the rest of the Barcelona dressing room was never the same after the midfielder's words against Araujo after the PSG match. Of course, it came out criticizing the team after the Clasico, the first one of the season, when we had the Rolling Stones sponsorship. The dressing room were kind of rocked by it, but like, you know what, we'll let this one slide. And of course, he criticized Araujo for getting the red card and the team performance. Apparently, hasn't been hard to turn back ever since. Maybe again, that's another positive side to his sale as well. Not only do we don't really need him and his age and his weekly wages as well, but also with this factor as well. So shout out to Gundo. I mean, he was our best player last season without a shadow of a doubt. And I guess the reality is the Barcelona dressing room are a bit butthurt. So if they failed this season again, we're gonna bring this up and it's gonna look really bad on them. So they better perform, or else they're going to get absolutely cooked. Now, I do want to mention one thing about Lamine Yamal. Of course, we saw Lamine Yamal after the match against Alaves when he was substituted, being very disappointed on the bench. We were unsure, was he undisappointed about his performance? Was he disappointed about being subbed by Hansi Flick? He was doing some press before Spain's first game on international break, and he did confirm that I was angry after the match against Alaves because of my performance. I could have done better. Flick asked me if I was mad because of the substitution, but I said no, it was because I couldn't help the team like the way I wanted to. This is what I wanted to see. I tweeted during the game as well when they had the screenshot of his face being disappointed. I was saying he better be disappointed about his performances. I gave him a 7 out of 10, which I still stand by for sure. I don't think he was terrible, but he wasn't at his best. He was very isolated. Everything was going down the left-hand side with Pedri and Rafinha. And I said and I tweeted, I think he's upset based on his performance, not being based on him being hooked. And now he has confirmed this, which of course is a good thing in my opinion. You should not be disappointed when you get subbed off, especially when you're a player playing week in, week out and you need rest, especially at your age as well. So it's good to have, let's see, Lamine Yamal have this mentality, which he's probably learned from your boy Ferran Torres. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm happy to see the dressing room is at an all-time high, but what I care about most is results on the pitch. You can be Mace playing tic-tac-toe, playing Uno in the dressing room. I don't give a flying frig. I want performance and I want results on the pitch. That's all that matters to me. So if you guys get along great, you guys are best friends, sleepovers, and you get the results, cool. You guys hate each other, but you get the results, also cool. I don't care. And of course, we will judge this based on how we see each other in February, where we're going to be in the league, the Champions League, and also post Super Cup and round 16 and quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey as well. Now, in some other crazy and shocking news, it is around the managerial position for Barcelona back in the 2022-2023 season, where of course we did end up winning the double, the league title, and the Spanish Super Cup. We crashed out, of course, in the Champions League in the group stages, and in the Copa del Rey, we lost the semifinal against Madrid. Kind of capitulated that. We probably should have won the Spanish treble that season, but you know what? It is what it is. Now, Luis Enrique is doing this freaking movie star documentary with PSG last season. He's calling Barcelona, Ibar, long ball, and the Xavi, all this stuff. I don't really care about that. He can say his opinion. He is kind of, targeting his legacy just a tad bit right now with this amount of digs he's putting at Xavi and putting at Barcelona. I don't know if him and Xavi had beef. Of course, he was the coach that basically benched Xavi and forced Xavi to leave Barcelona to Qatar. Anyways, he did win us a treble, so shout out to him. He was saying in the in the movie star documentary that Barcelona called me during the 2022-2023 season. Now, keep in mind, at this point, Luis Enrique was taking Spain to the World Cup. So, Qatar World Cup, that's where he was currently at. Of course, in the end, he resigned afterwards, but he didn't know he's going to resign quite yet. But then I asked them, if Xavi wins the La Liga and Copa del Rey, would you still want to change him as the manager? And since then, they never replied to me. If I had waited, clearly I would have had options of managing them now. He's saying that if he waited and take the PSG job last season, he probably would have been appointed somewhere mid-season or end of season pre-agreement, which probably is the case. But Laporta, I guess, having a little bit of doubts about Xavi. Of course, we got knocked out we made a big investment with the economic levers. We got knocked out of the Champions League in the group stages. We then, of course, lost the Clasico 3-1. So I'm guessing it was somewhere at this point where Laporta was having some sort of doubts and called Luis Enrique at the time, who, of course, again, taking Spain to the World Cup. I was thinking, after the World Cup, you're going to come to Barcelona. So that's a bit interesting. But Luis Enrique, man, is going to watch his tone in this movie star documentary, because he is moving mad. Now, the final topic that I wanted to discuss for the end of this video is in regards to Barcelona owing other clubs money still for transfer fees. Now, this, of course, is very, very, very normal in the world of football. No club in the history right now goes and pays an agreed fee all up front. They pay in installments, variables, payment terms, whatever the case may be. Right now, Barcelona still owes around 120 million euros to various other clubs for various amounts of players, and we will discuss that in depth. Now, of the 120 million euros, 40 million of that should be owed in the short term. For 90 million will be owed more in the long term. Short term in the next year or so, long term in the next few years. So not, owing 120 million euros right now, we're not going to spend any money in the transfer window, blah, blah, blah. This is not how it works, but again, just cool and really interesting to see where the clubs stand on owing clubs money. Let's run through it very, very quickly on who we owe, who, what, when, where, why, how kind of thing. Firstly, Victor Roque, we still owe Atletico Palmeiras about 11.8 million euros in the short term for Victor Roque, and about 7 million more in the long term, of course, totaling to around 18 million euros. Again, the fee was 30 million agreed, so we paid about, what's that, some quick math there, 12-ish, so we still have some ways to go there. So again, that's alright, I guess. Next up is Unai Hernandez, who we did, of course, sign from Girona. We still owe Girona 100,000 euros for this transfer fee, and again, this is going to be owed in the short term, so I'm probably guessing by the end of this season, somewhere around there. Next up, Robert Lewandowski, bloody hell, man. So we owe about 10 million euros for him in the short term, and another 10 million euros for him in the long term. So of the 40 million euro fee that we agreed for Lewandowski 2 years ago, we've only paid half of that so far, which again, pretty good. We owe money to Bayern Munich. We owe money to all his former clubs, pretty much, Dortmund and the Liga and the Poland club. So it's basically owed all over the place. I don't know why we had to pay them directly. I feel like we pay Bayern, then Bayern should be the one distributing all that, because, you know, we bought them from them, and they give it to Dortmund, then Dortmund gave it to the Bayern, and then you know, all that sort of stuff. But anyways, you know, we owe Bayern about 10 million euros. We owe Dortmund like 70k. We owe these other clubs, you know, 100k, 30k in various different areas. So about, I would say, 11 million euros in the short term owed for Lewandowski, then 11 million more in the long term, of course, totaling to 22 million euros still owed for Lewandowski. Next up is Jules Koundé, nothing owed in the short term, but still 24.5 million owed in the long term. Now, keep remembering this, by the way, about when it comes to amortization. So, if we want to sell Koundé tomorrow, for example, we need to sell him for at least a minimum of 25 million euros. That way, of course, we can pay back Sevilla what we owe them and break even on the transfer fee. If you want to make profit on Jules Koundé, of course, you want to sell him for more than 25 million euros. Anyways, we bought Koundé for about 50, so we still owe about half left, which again is still pretty good. Next up, Junior freaking Firpo. I mean, shout out for that masterclass away at the Parc des Princes against Mbappe. But apart from that, he's been pretty mid. We still owe Betis 600,000 euros for him in the short term, so that'll probably be paid off very, very soon. Next up, how do we owe money for him? We owe 75k for this twat to Cornea. I don't know how Cornea must have done the finesse of the century there. Anyways, next up, Ferran Torres. Now, I believe we agreed a fee of around 50 million euros for Man City. For Ferran Torres, we still now owe 13 million in the short term and another 13 million euros in the long term, of course, totaling to 26. So again, we've only paid Man City about half of the transfer fee for Ferran Torres, which again, I think is still pretty good. You're just stretching that over a long period of time. Hopefully the club will make more profit and more money. That way it'll be easier to pay off these kind of, you know, debts, so to speak. So 13 million owed in the short term. Again, probably the next year, I would assume. Then the longer term will be over the next year or two. Next up is Emerson Royal, who we owe to Betis 900,000 euros for. Now, of course, Betis and Barcelona did a deal together to sign him from Brazil. We had to buy him back for about 9 million euros, so I guess this is still part of that 9 million transfer fee. Again, we end up selling Emerson to Tottenham for about 30 million euros, so it was quadrupling our money pretty much. So we owe Betis, if you think about the Junior Firpo fee as well, we still owe Betis about 1.2 million, which maybe we can use as a write-off for Victor Roque at some point if they want to, you know, agree to sign him. But you know what, another day. But again, short term, 900,000 owed to Betis for Emerson Royal. And finally, Abdi Islazelu. We owe Osasuna 180,000 euros for him. You're probably wondering, Barca boy, why do we owe Osasuna? We loaned him there. They should be owing us money, if anything. I have no idea. I'm assuming there were probably some add-ons that if we sold Abdi the next summer, they would get a little bit of the cut based on, of course, his performances for Osasuna. Maybe that's why. But that's only the real thing I can think of. But somehow, some way, in the short term, we do owe Osasuna 183,000 euros for Abdi. So overall, pretty, again, normal. Again, I would remember these when it comes to, you know, looking at amortization and selling on players in the future. For example, like I mentioned, Lewandowski, Koundé, Ferran Torres, for example. For Ferran Torres, we still owe 26 million euros for him. So we're talking about selling Ferran. We need to sell him for more than at least 26 million euros. So again, break even on him. So again, this is very all normal. We have good insight to see how, you know, the behind the scenes and transfers and transfer fees. So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past few days. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course in the comments down below as well, let me know your thoughts on everything we did discuss. The main thing I want to first see, of course, is your thoughts on Barcelona's transfer plan ahead of the next 2 transfer windows. Second, your thoughts on the money owed for these certain players. Are you happy with that or not? Third, your thoughts on the injury boosts for Barcelona. Do you see all these 4 players returning very soon, very late? You sense maybe any relapses or stuff like that? And find your thoughts on this battle between Luis Enrique and Barcelona, and also alongside Xavi as well. And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.